Alright, so right out the gate, I just decide to choose a random skin tone because it doesn't really matter to me too much. I'm just trying to demonstrate something. And I go for the hairstyle that allows me to see the facial features the most, the quickest way possible. And it's also a nice hairstyle. So for the head, I am just playing with a bunch of settings, but the one thing I really do change is the neck size because I want her to have more feminine features, and neck size only changes the neck width. It doesn't change the everything altogether, just the width. For the face, I start off with looking for a nose that doesn't have too much of like a clunky blocky look, and I also don't want the nose to be too small, so I go with number 4 because I think it's a good decent overall nose shape. And I set the nose height to 0 because it is like the center of the face for her, and I need something to reference the difference between the eyes and the hairline, or the mouth and the nose to the eyes and things like that. I don't want her face to be too long or too squished. I decide to add cheekbone height just because I kind of just wanted to, but I reduce cheekbone width so that her face isn't too strong looking. I'm trying to go for a soft look. And the two biggest things that I do change in this is the cheek shape and the face weight, sorry. I set to 0.2 because they're some of the most important things to change. It gives her a softer, more fluffy kind of look. So yeah. As for the eyes, I use a vanilla eye type. I remove all of the makeup options. I leave the eye shape as eye 13, mainly because I just don't really mind that eye shape. I do increase the iris size. I think it makes the eyes look nicer. I also increase the eye size to 0.3. I increase the eyelashes to 0.5, just because if you make them too long, they're not going to curve, they're just going to keep going straight, and it looks really weird. Something I do change too is the eye height later on, and I add it to 0, or make it 0. I just don't want her forehead to be too big, but I just want to be in the middle with everything, except for the eye width. But some of the things that I do love messing around with is the inner, eye lower, and eye outer. I do play with these settings a lot to just kind of see. They're very highly customizable, to be honest. I don't think you can really go too wrong with any decision you make using those settings. Here, I'm just kind of looking at the way the eyes look in relation with the rest of her head. Just trying to get a general overall idea of what I'm really going for. So for the eyebrows, I raise the height all the way up to the top. Here, I'm looking at the width of the eyebrow, change the side of the head, and so I try to keep the width a little low because I don't want it to change. I don't want it to add too much chunk to the side of her face, and so there's a bit of a mesh issue that I'm having, so I just look for an eyebrow that doesn't really have an issue with the mesh, the face mesh, the high poly head. It's easy to sculpt. I just leave the eye forward low because too much eye forward adds more chunk to her eyebrow. And I arc the eyebrow less a little bit just so that I can give her more of an innocent look. It adds to the overall feminine type of features that I am trying to bring out in her. So if you want to fix the eyebrow, you just have to go to sculpting. This is if you have the eyebrow issue, and then it should automatically be set to smooth. You just zoom in on the eyebrow part that is messed up, and then you just tap until it fixes. And you just want to do a few taps. You don't want to do too much, and then it should just fix it. Alright, so as you can imagine, this is probably going to be the most important part. Now, she looks generally fine with all of the different settings or lip options. You could probably just rock one of them and just say fuck it, but for the sake of maximizing what I'm trying to do here, I look for the worst or the most difficult one to deal with. So I choose number 27. I go back into the faces. So I move the nose height up a little bit because I previously changed the eye height as well as the eyebrow height to reduce having too much forehead. And then I go back into mouths again, and I just fix the mouth height to make sure that it aligns with everything else. And here I decide to go with 0.9. I reduce chin width a little bit because it's already pretty thick, and I add a little bit of chin length just to kind of keep that mature face structure without reducing too much. I play around with some settings, but one important setting here is the upper lip height, and I set that to 0.6. And I kind of play around with other settings for now, just seeing what does what, because there's so many different settings. It's not easy to remember what everything does exactly. Mouth occlusion is probably one of the most important ones when it comes to dealing with the work, and I just reduce it as far back. I move her teeth as far back as possible without clipping into her lip, and I increase the size by just a little bit. Takes me a minute here to kind of just figure out what everything does again. I do add lip angle to 1, so she's not exactly smiling, but it helps for shaping her mouth to be easier to deal with. So some of the most important settings here for the orc mouth is going to be the tubercle settings. Because it allows me to manipulate the individual lips, both of the upper and the lower, change how far it's pushing out, or how thick it is, or how far the upper is pushing down. And so I just do it just enough so that it's pushing down so that her mouth isn't too wide open, while also having that original kind of orc look so that it's not all the way closed. If you're having difficulty with deciding how to do what, you can always just use the same mouth set that I'm using to just kind of fix this weird issue here. But for the most part, the more you mess around with this, the easier it'll get. Now, for the most part, I'm just kind of messing with settings, just seeing what looks nice at this point. I add a little bit of width to the lower lip, just because I felt like it was just, I needed a little more than what I was getting from the mouth option. I move mouth forward to -1 to counteract with the orc mouths being so forward and open. A lot of this just comes down to playing with every setting that you can, seeing what does what, just to kind of get an overall understanding. The more you edit these face types, the easier it'll get. Here I add more lip, upper lip than before by going up to 1.41. Okay, so now I'm basically done. I'm just kind of adding scars, looking at the different makeup options. The way you use the makeup tabs in RaceMenu is that you have to make the texture, you have to make it opaque. That way you can see what it is, and then it registers as something there, and then you can change it. But here I'm just kind of looking for some good colors to work with, or what idea I might have. The makeup mod that I'm using, I'll link it in the description. I'll link everything that I'm using. At this point, I'm just kind of playing with the different options, not really changing too much that's drastic, just kind of adding flavor to what I probably want. The most I've done here really is just add a little bit of blush, some eyeshadow that looks like eyeliner, and some lower eyeshadow, very thick. I think it makes her look pretty. So I try to darken the blush because I don't want the blush to be too bright, and I don't want it to be too much. So if you don't like the cheek form, you just have to rise up cheek shape. There's 2 different cheek shape options. You just have to find the first cheek shape option, and you just turn it to the highest setting possible. And yeah, you can see there's a cheek shape near the bottom, and that one drastically changes the cheek, and there's one at the top. So here I do end up going back to the eye spread, and I move it to 0.3 just because I remember that sometimes it looks like orcs can be I don't know, looking in two different directions. So I made a mistake. When I was saying eye spread, I meant iris spread. Iris spread actually like spreads the iris from like it going from in the middle of the face to like the outside of the face, right? But eye spread legit is like eye width. It fucking moves her eyes. It it makes it worse. So what I actually meant was iris spread. So make sure iris spread is 0.3 because it brings the eyes closer to the center of the face so that she doesn't look like she's looking in two different directions. And then I just changed eyelid upper to 1.50 and lower to 0.5. I also changed the eye height down to negative 0.2 because I wanted to just lower it just a little bit. And that's it. I highly recommend saving your presets. It can help you out a lot, especially when you want to load the same thing you took, 40 minutes to work on. But also a tip, when you do load into the game, sometimes you want to go into the console command and type show RaceMenu just to kind of fix any of the overlay makeup options that you've done that you don't see, in case it looks like they aren't there anymore. And so you just save changes, and then it should fix your makeup. And then the rest of the video I'm just kind of showing off how she looks in the game. She's actually really pretty. I'm very happy with the way she came out. But yeah, I hope that wasn't too hard to follow. I will be leaving the mods that I've used to create the character as well as dress the character in the description.